the St. George Chinese Community Memorial Project in conjunction with the Longshan Council. We visited St. George back July 2017. That was briefed by local Guchen, the OAN, former mayor of Longshan Council. But that story of many Chinese grave marks being destroyed in a grass fire in 1970s. So upon telling several modern Chinese community leaders, it proposed that appointed a steering committee work towards running design competition for a cultural appropriate memorial to be constructed in the St. George Cemetery. So we will approach local school students at St. George to participate in the design competition. So following the judging and the final selection of the design competition, it is proposed that we will announce the winner at the fundraising event. So the steering committee will inspect the St. George Cemetery and participate in the weekend of tourism activities. So we will then engage an appropriate local construction business to construct the memorial in St. George Cemetery. So school students in the Longshan will be invited to participate in the essay competition, where students acknowledge the contributions of the Chinese Australians in the Longshan. So winners of the essay competition will be awarded a bursary.
Mr. Duncan Pegg from Australia, Jack Sun, Chairman of the St. George Chinese Community Memorial Committee, Mr. Lewis Lee, IM, and ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege for me to be here tonight. If you'd said to me 12 months ago that I'd be here, I wouldn't have believed it, because I think in that stage there wasn't even a dream or a glint in anyone's eye. But I'd like to thank Mr. Sun and Mr. Lee for their opportunity to speak to you tonight briefly about my shire, and I'm going to keep it fairly brief, and about the history, or what I can find, of the Chinese people and their activities in our area. I'll just give you a bit on the shire first. We are some 32,000 square kilometres in area, so we have fairly wide boundaries, something like 2,500 kilometres of council roads, 6 towns, which St. George is the largest, and that's named that because Major Mitchell camped on the banks of the Boulogne River at that spot on St. George's Day. As, I think Jack said, there was a fire that went through the cemetery, and that was in the period where records weren't being accurately kept, back in the 70s probably, and those graves were marked by timber crosses, and a lot of them were destroyed in that fire. So we really are limited as far as the history and the records are concerned, but there's undoubtedly been a big impact by the Chinese at St. George. So, having no doubt that the Chinese were part of the fabric of St. George and the wider areas of the Shire, and the fact that they certainly had an impact in the business community, and I can remember their involvement as late as when I was growing up in the area. So, with that in mind, I and my council fully support the efforts of Mr. Sun and Mr. Lee and many others who are interested in developing a memorial to the St. George Chinese community. So I commend them for their foresight, you might say, for their interest, and thank them for their interest. So I look forward to working with the committee to progress this venture, and I thank you for your interest in the community and for the opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you very much.
The traditional owners, and thank them for their strong and continuing stewardship. Could I acknowledge all of the special guests that are here? I'll start with the Mayor of the Boulogne Shire, who's come a very long way to come along here tonight. Richard, thank you very much. Please give him another round of applause. To Jack and Lewis and all of the organising committee, thank you for giving up your time. Building on what Richard said earlier, listening to the Mayor's speech, I really felt like we have come full circle in a way. Because the town I grew up in, we didn't particularly talk about the Chinese history, and as the Mayor pointed out, it wasn't written down. It's in a few family stories, a few stories handed down from people like Richard's mum, but the story needs to be told. And I'm glad Richard mentioned Robert Buchan, the guy in the hat at the cemetery, because Robert Buchan started this whole project. Robert Buchan told me that story, and he actually, the reason I got particularly involved is he said that under the Prime Minister Gough Whitlam, there was a Work for the Dole program that sent some people out to clean out the cemetery, and they set the grass fire that burnt down the Chinese grave markets. So basically he said, you Labor people are responsible for this. So I thought, well, I better make good. And make sure that there is some memorial. Now I know that many people from who came to Australia, and as the Mayor said, were here in the 1850s. In fact, we know that there were Chinese in Australia in the 1820s and 1830s, before the gold rushes. And then that great wave of the Chinese community who came out seeking gold, seeking fortune, either in the Victorian gold rushes in the 1850s or the Palmer River gold rushes in the 1890s into Queensland. But we know that they found another type of gold, and that was the ability to turn water into plants. That's why I meant that we have come full circle, because the people like Jack and Lewis went out to St George and met the farmers in a way and heard about their horticulture, their agricultural endeavours, and we've come full circle. I do know that the Chinese community is credited with saving people from scurvy in Western Queensland. There's lots of meat to eat. Fishing was pretty good. Fishing's still very good out in St George, but there weren't the green vegetables that you need to survive. And that Baku rot that they talk about in Henry Lawson's stories, well, the Chinese ability to farm meant people didn't get all those vitamin deficiencies.